Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Alliance live show. This will be our fourth live show. This is Ramon Azab, aka Remom, with the Alliance. I have home for you guys today. Glad that you guys joined us this week. Sorry about last week. We had some technical difficulties on Friday. We did manage to get the stream out on Saturday night, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. But we are back live again on Friday. We're going to try to get this closer to 8:30 Eastern time for you guys every week. But, we're just getting some of the kinks out here with the first few weeks, just trying to make sure we get, all the responsibilities and different jobs that it really takes to get the live show up and ready to go allocated to different people. So it's not just me. We have a lot of people working on the show behind the scenes to make sure that we get the slideshows together and the top tens and the different types of information that we pass along during the show. So it's a huge team of people that usually help out with each show every single week. So I definitely appreciate all the help that we get from everyone. But this week we actually happen to have some of the regulars back. Last week we had a holiday, so we have McLeod back this week. McLeod, how you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be back.
Excellent. And we have Omega Shenron with us today.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Glad to be here.
We've got Talon.
What's up, y'all? How you doing tonight?
We've got Lotion, as usual. Lotion has been with us since day one. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for inviting me.
And we've got good old Maurice, ready to go.
Yellow.
Now,
Remon just always forgets me. What's up with that?
And Champy is here as well. You know what it is? I actually have your logo on the screen, so I shouldn't have forgot you. But because everybody else is, yours is like blacked out on my screen right now. So, and we also have Champy here as well. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Thanks for forgetting me, though. I appreciate it.
Listen, one day I won't forget you. Okay, one day you'll be the first person I say hi to. So
yeah,
it'll happen. I try to switch it up a little bit, but definitely, Champy's a big part of the show too. Always helps out, and I'm glad to have all you guys with me. We're definitely coming up on the first month here of the live show. Super exciting. We're trying to get some consistency going here. I actually was able to get a conversation with EA Jesse during the week this week. So we're probably going to have very soon for you, whether it's next week's show or the week after, a Q&A with EA Jesse. So that should be really cool. I'm looking forward to that. So we'll get that going, as soon as possible. If we do get that for the next show, I'll definitely make sure to make mention of that during the week in some type of a video or a live stream of my Galactic War or something like that. But I want to get into the news. So not much news this week to cover. Unfortunately, most of the last week as far as the two new ships that got brought into the game, the Phantom and the Ghost. We also discussed Gar Saxon and the clone commando. So sorry, not the Imperial commando. So we discussed those characters. We did want to cover some upcoming stuff, some upcoming events that are coming. Now, I noticed when I looked at the updated events that there's another Places of Power event coming towards the end of the month, I believe on April 27th. And it's requiring Sith and First Order characters. Now, if I'm mistaken, I believe the Places of Power event thus far has only been with Ugnaught and those random characters. The really hard event so far has been that Places of Power event. So the use of Sith and First Order characters, I believe this will be the first time we're going to be able to do that. Is anybody else, do you remember last time if we were able to use Sith characters? I don't think so.
I thought one time we had Jedi, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. I think we fight against the Jedi in the Places of Power event. So I think that's when you're facing Yoda. I think that's the harder event. I haven't completed the second tier of that event yet. I think because you had to have Ugnaught and also I believe, who else was it? It was Ugnaught.
Wasn't it Ewoks and Resistance?
Yeah.
That might be what it is. Yeah. So you get to use Poe and Ewok. So I had like Ugnaught, Ewok Elder, Poe, Finn, Ray, things like that. Yeah. So I don't think you were allowed to use First Order or Sith in this event yet. So we'll be able to use that in that upcoming event. That's kind of interesting. But also we have the Emperor's event coming back in a few weeks. So you want to get prepared for that. So for those of you that are, relatively newer to the game that maybe don't have your Emperor yet, you're going to need 5 Rebels at 7 stars to get them, maxed out. So if you want to get that Emperor when it comes in May, you're going to want to start preparing for that now. So, you're going to want to start to farm some of the easier Rebels that you can get out of the game right off the bat. And again, this is going to depend on where you're at in the game. I'm not saying to switch your farming right now. If you're currently trying to get together an arena team, that's going to always be more important than getting one single character. So, I mean, if you're currently working on a Rebel team, then great. Keep doing that. If you're currently working on a Sith team, I wouldn't say, even though, Palpatine would be a great addition to that Sith team, I wouldn't say that you should start, going for Rebels right away and switch all your plans just to get that character. It's the same thing with Yoda. I mean, Yoda's a great character to have. He's not the most important character in the game to have, but he is a great character to have. Of course, you want to get those 5 Jedi together at some point to get your Yoda. But if it's gonna affect the ability for you to get as many crystals as possible in arena every day, I wouldn't I wouldn't go so hard for it right off the bat. I just kind of slowly go for it over time because the event is going to recur every other month. So it's not like it was before where you had to wait 6 months to get your Palpatine again, but you want to go for, most likely, if you're farming, again, if you're starting out and you're farming for Rebels, the easiest Rebel to get off the bat is going to be Big Starklighter because you can farm him in 3 separate locations. You can get him out of the Galactic War shipments. You can get him out of the Cantina. You can farm him out of hard nodes, I believe. And he's just the most easy to attain Rebel in the game.
He's also in the fleet shipments.
And he's also in the fleet shipments. So, he's available in a lot of different locations. As well as next, I'd say you're going to want to go with somebody from the arena shipments. So I would say going for Stormtrooper Han would be my opinion out of there because he's probably either Stormtrooper Han or Leia. But I think Stormtrooper Han is going to help you out in more applications right now, especially if you're talking about in Galactic War or arena. So I think Stormtrooper Han may be somebody you want to go for first. And, going
How about
into
Cassian Andor out of there?
How about Admiral Akbar?
Cassian Andor, Admiral Akbar. Yeah, Akbar is also another option because of his command, his command ship. So that's another way to go.
Lando's also a pretty easy farm. He's in the first set of Cantina nodes, so Lando would be a good pickup too.
Lando's a great pick because, ultimately Lando is also going to help you out with your scoundrels as well. So, out of the Cantina, you absolutely should be farming Lando first because he's going to help you with your scoundrel event. He's going to help you with getting Emperor Palpatine, and he's just a great character in general. He can help you get through Galactic Wars. His double down ability is fantastic, and when you're talking about getting mods, there is a challenge for Rebels there too, so they help you with that also. So on top of getting the ships from some of these Rebel characters, you're also going to get the mods of the Rebels. I think it's Crit Chance or
Tenacity. The Tenacity mods.
So you get your Tenacity mods from your Rebels, which is great. Again, you're talking about 3 different portions of the game that these characters are huge for you, and you're going to have your assault battles with your Rebels. You're going to be able to get Palpatine with the Rebels. You have ships with the Rebels. You have your mods with the Rebels. So there's a lot of reasons to go for Rebels first in the game right now. They're probably the most dominant faction in the game as far as the amount of content that they're viable in or usable for. So I'd say it's definitely a great option to go for. Any other suggestions from you guys as far as who to farm for the Emperor event?
Well, I think having Stormtrooper Han, having a tank is really important.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even if you get him at 5-star, if your main dark side team is Sith, it's going to greatly improve your team.
Okay.
It's pretty easily, like we talked about, you can get Lando pretty easily. The main thing is monitoring your arena currency so you can get Akbar. Then your fifth one, you either, depending on how much of a time crunch you're in, you can go Leia, like you used to do, which is definitely a good pick. Getting somebody like Hoth Rebel Scout out of the Cantina.
The game gives you Akbar at 4 stars now too from that ship challenge. You know, I forget the level, but I mean they just give them to you fully unlocked at 4.
True.
That's true. Also,
You know, the event itself is not difficult. Any 5 rebels will probably get it done. You know, the difficulty is not high on that Palpatine event.
no.
So fastest farms are the way to go.
I would agree. Now, is that we have another ship coming here. Does anybody remember the name of Gar Saxon's ship? Offhand, I don't remember, but I've heard from some of the developers that it's actually a pretty good ship. So I don't know what the abilities are yet. I don't think it's on swgoh.gg yet, but there is a name for that ship. Any of you guys remember what it's called?
I do not.
Was it the Mandalorian ship? The Hunter, I think it is?
Yeah, it's the ship that Gar Saxon is going to bring into the game. I think it's in the last update. I'm just going to find it.
Because I would love to have another Empire ship. Something that I could farm, please. Not the Advance or the Reaper.
It's the Gauntlet.
Kangaroo says Gauntlet.
It's the Gauntlet Starfighter. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Kangaroo.
So, yeah, so it's called the Gauntlet Starfighter. That event is going to be coming at it here. It's about a week or so. We're going to get the chance to get the Gauntlet ship, and I believe that's going to be an Empire ship as well. So for those of you running Tarkin Lead in Ship Arena, that's another addition there. Again, I don't know how, where the ship is going to be farmable. It's probably going to be a pack situation, just like the characters are and everything else that's being released right now. So I'm assuming it's going to be expensive. So you're probably going to be looking at a little while before we get an opportunity to actually run that ship or farm it somewhere. But it still should be cool. I mean, again, I'm still waiting for the TIE Reaper to become available somewhere where I can get it. But because I'm not going to buy those packs. I mean, does anybody here have a 7-star TIE Reaper?
No.
Negative.
I have 4 total shards for the TIE Reaper.
Yeah, me too. Because I got the because I got the TIE Advanced in that pack. But
as far as your rotations, though, shouldn't your Sith be coming out pretty soon? That's just the way they've been releasing stuff.
Yes.
The Nihilists and them should be close.
Nihilist, Sith Trooper, and Sith Assassin should be the next to come into free-to-play. I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do. I'm wondering if they're going to just go to Dark Side maybe and just add one of them to a hard node and maybe Nihilist and then put the other two in, respective shipments, maybe like... we need something in Cantina shipments. The last thing we got was Biston, but we could definitely use one of those characters there, and maybe even in. I was thinking maybe in. It'd be great to have another Galactic War shipments. Even though Bodhi Rook was just put there in K2SO, I still think that there's been. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could use that stuff for your ships too. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons to use your Galactic War tokens right now, but. I've always felt like, obviously it's a currency that you get very frequently in the game. Probably the most currency you get in the game besides the fleet shipments. So it's a great place to get characters. And since I'm just speaking for myself here. Since I'm only farming Bodhi Rook out of there, it'd be a lot easier for myself to go, right after I'm done with Bodhi to move on to, let's say, Sith Trooper or Sith Assassin right out of the Galactic War shipments. That'd be great.
There's no way they're putting Sith Trooper or Sith Assassin in the Galactic War.
I think they're going to fill out those last 3 nodes on the dark side on the 9th tier.
You think they're going to make them all hard node farms, all 3 of them? That would suck.
They'll probably put one of them in a Cantina and one of them on a hard node.
Suck bad.
Nihilist is almost definitely a hard node.
Yeah, I think Nihilus is definitely a hard node. I mean, I'm hoping they throw one of them in the Cantina shipments. I mean, the Cantina shipments is really dying for somebody. I mean, and I know we got Cassian Andor recently. I mean, every shipments has gotten somebody recently, but not. We've seen the characters going into hard nodes or into the fleet shipments, and I just don't want to see any more characters put into the guild shipments, into the fleet shipments, into the hard nodes. I think we have enough hard node farms right now. I mean, obviously, I understand adding Nihilus there because he's a high-end character, but I think that the other two should go into, reasonable farmable locations. That's just my opinion. But, then again, they could just put them in 3 hard nodes and we'll never get them. What are they?
Maybe we'll get one in the shard shop.
What are they going to do with the Phoenix Squad? I mean, there's 6 characters, so I mean they're going to have to put 6 characters. I imagine each character is going into one separate location, right? So they're going to have one, in the fleet shipments, one in the Galactic War shipments, one in the, arena shipments, one in the guild shipments, one in the Cantina shipments. So I think they'll put one everywhere. That's probably what they'll do.
What about a new game mode before then that they're going to throw those characters in? Something like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool too. I mean, we've talked about them adding characters to some of these events. If they were, let's say, tied to some of these assault battle events or something like that, that would be cool too. I mean, maybe there's a character that you just can't 7-star right away, right? Like he's kind of like Kenobi, where over time, like a guild character, where you have to over time just get the shards for the character, but you get shards for the character every time one of these assault battles comes around, right? So if you complete the highest tier, you get like 25 shards, right? So that, let's say over time, you'll just finish them up,
More of
get
a big trophy
boost.
rather than like
right.
something that I can farm in a weekend if I had enough money.
Right. And these assault battle events can come back more frequently, if they're going to do something like that, but they could add a character to these events. That would be great. Even if it wasn't the most amazing character. I mean, if they just added C-3PO or something like that to one of these events, that would be awesome.
Now, I know nobody wants to hear it, but I actually think that they're going to do that for the Jedi Luke or Bespin Luke with a lightsaber, let's call him.
I want Luke 100% outright free. That's what I want. Okay. I mean, if it's anything less than that, after we waited for so long, I'm going to be very disappointed. Luke should be a Palpatine Yoda event, and it should be Sith. Okay. You should have to get 5 Sith to get Luke. It should be Jedi to get Yoda, Rebels to get Palpatine, and then, Ewoks to get C-3PO.
I think it would make more sense to be
for Revan.
Yeah, I think it would make more sense to have Empire to get Luke.
Well, actually, Empire to get Luke would work too. Sith or Empire would work, either or. I'm just saying it has to be one of those factions, and then maybe it's Sith to get Revan. I don't know if Revan is not Luke Skywalker though. He'll probably sell Revan. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they'll sell Luke. I think Luke is Luke is a staple. Luke's on the cover of the game. I'm kind of interested in the fact that I think that we're actually coming to the point now where he's actually the game because they had the commercial recently where he was pretty much featured throughout the entire commercial, and we're at a point now where there's been no content really to speak of for 6 months or so, and a lot of characters coming out, but I think we're at a point now where whatever this new event is going to be, around that same time, I think they're going to have to release some major character, because the last major character released was Palpatine. You know what I mean? So you're talking about almost a year now since Palpatine came out. So I think it's about time we get your character. The last real major character that we don't have in the game would be Luke. So. It's been almost 2 years. It's about time. So again, there's not much news. Jar Jar Binks, yeah. Jar Jar, there's actually a story for what happened to Jar Jar at the end, after, it's like a canon story for what happened to Jar Jar. Afterwards, Jar Jar ended up, you remember at the end of the movie, he was like a general for the what were they called?
The Gungans?
The Gungans.
Yeah, he was like a general for the Gungan army. In the novelization, I think he actually becomes like a street clown. Like he becomes like a court jester almost. He just goes around and he just makes jokes and he just like falls on his face for money. And it's like a very sad ending for Jar Jar Binks. It's like he just spends the rest of his days in the streets trying to make people laugh, and everybody hates him. That's Jar Jar Binks. So, and that's canon. That's actually true. That's what happened to him. So, so it's pretty interesting, and it's something that's relatively new, I think. But like I said, not much news to cover this week. We really didn't get an update. We're gonna, we got the Imperial Super Commando, but Saxon will be coming tonight. I hope all you guys had great luck and you got lots of Death Trooper shards during the double drops. That came last weekend. I hope you all had happy holidays. But let's move on to the next segment here. We're going to move on to the meta report right now. And I believe we're actually going to have Champy for the first time here cover the meta report. Champy, are you ready to take the reins here? You have big shoes to fill. McLeod is actually listening to you right now over your shoulder, and he's judging every word that you say. So if you don't do it right,
I don't know if I can handle this pressure. But
if you don't do it right, you're out.
I filled it for Cheek yesterday, so I think we can handle it. You did a good job last week. Let's see what happens this week. We've all got our fingers crossed. Go ahead, Champy. Take us in. All right, guys. So first, we're going to take a look at the top 10 squad leaders at rank 1, as we normally do. As you can guess it, you probably don't see very much changing. You can see Rex ate up a little bit of Darth Maul's big piece there. You see he closed the gap quite a bit, but they're still primarily dominating the group as a whole. That's just what it is. As far as some movement, it looks like we had Boba Fett and Jyn Erso switch place, with Jyn moving up one slot, and Vader and Wedge each fall a slot, with Qui-Gon Jinn jumping both of them to move up to third. Not very much movement, though. There isn't a big gap between the two of them, but that's really the only movement we've really seen. As you guys have seen the past couple of weeks, the top 10 squad leaders pretty much just been Darth Maul and Rex. That trend continues. Maybe we'll see something coming out soon at almost one of them out there. Your top 10 squad members at rank 1, very similar, not much movement. We actually seen Boba Fett drop out, which is kind of surprising. He's one of them utility characters that you could see almost on any team, but it looks like he actually has fallen all the way out. You see Sith Assassin moved up a slot, Savage Opress. Sith Assassin actually passed Savage Opress this time around. So besides that, though, not much movement. You see Nihilus being used on a bunch of teams. General Kenobi, Darth Maul, pretty standard. Pretty much everything's pretty much staying the same there. Again, I would like to see some movement. It's been pretty static for a couple of weeks now, so it would be great to see some changes in there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean,
Champ's the new champ on the meta. Nice.
Good job, buddy. So I mean, it'd be nice to see some movement, but I'm kind of glad that the Sith are having their day in the sun right now. I mean, they were such an irrelevant faction for such a long time that it's great to see them, actually thriving right now. But it'd be also great to see, something creeping up from behind. I just don't see anything coming from behind right now. I don't see anything overthrowing the Sith anytime soon. So, I mean, I know Rex is a good counter to the Sith team now, so you're seeing a lot of Rex out there. But do you guys see any other metas creeping up? I mean, is Resistance going to be the big boys to knock off the playground in a couple of months? Is it going to be the First Order team? Does anybody see anybody else stepping into the meta?
So I'll be that guy and throw this out there, because we were theory crafting with Gar Saxon, and we were seeing some counter teams with certain characters that would be nasty. I don't know if you were there for that discussion, but we were thinking some people like Fives or things of that nature. Gar Saxon constantly pounding those people, or Ayla with her stun, would be pretty gnarly in a team. I think we might see that rise up there, at least initially when he comes out or becomes farmable.
Yeah, but you can't counter stealth characters. You know, if the Sith are stealth, you're not going to counter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Not only that, if Darth Maul like decides to jump your entire team with days, you're not going to be doing anything.
That's true.
I don't see the Phoenix being viable versus the Sith. For what he just said for Days. I mean, Days just completely neutralizes them. You know.
And it's kind of hard to see how this meta is going to end.
I was happy. Go ahead. My bad.
I just don't see it ending. I don't see there being another team creeping up at all. They're going to have to make a new leader ability that makes a team faster, or
or
I mean, they're going to have
a unique ability that prevents stealth or something like that.
Yeah, like an anti-stealth meta, or like I mean, we already have anti-evasion metas, which is what the Sith are really. But I mean, it's like
the anti-stealth meta is the spell. It's being able to take that away, just enough to attack the characters you need to.
But that's really
the only counter.
That's really what's out there right now. I mean, we already have, you have your B2s and your Rex. That's really what the counter is to that. But it's like what that's really just only going to get you so far in order to beat the team. You're gonna be able to beat the team with that team. That's the counter to it. But I don't see another team that's creeping up that's going to be the new meta. Like I don't think Rex is the new meta. Rex has been around for forever. He's just a counter to all the different metas. I mean, he's a counter to the droid meta. He's a counter to the Sith meta. He's a counter to the Rebel meta. I mean, Rex has been a counter to almost every meta. But I'm saying that's because, if you can't beat him with speed, you beat him with turn meter. So that's why you have Rex out there. So what I'm saying is, I don't see though there being a new meta coming up. A lot of people are saying that maybe the Rogue One characters, now that they're available free to play, and you're going to see a lot more of those guys popping up, a lot more Chabaze teams and like that. You're going to start to see a lot more viability there. I still don't see them being able to hold on defense against the Sith. Right now, I think that the Sith are just too good. And the only way you're going to trump the Sith meta is by creating either a whole new faction or severely upgrade, intensely increasing the abilities or the speed of some other team. And the only team that's even close on speed right now, I'd say, would be like the Jedi. But they're also missing some pieces too. I mean, I put an Ezra Bridger, a Gear 11 Ezra Bridger in there with my Qui-Gon Jinn Zeta, and Yoda and Anakin, and a 7-star General Kenobi, and I'm getting knocked back to rank 10, rank 11, rank 12. So they're not holding on defense against the Sith at all.
What I'll say about the current metas are they're not strictly a one-team meta. You don't a team to be able to compete. There are various teams that can beat all the teams that can win the battles that'll get you to the top. That's what I noticed. So as we all know, there's no solid defensive team. There virtually never has been, apart from some real brief pockets where people overspent others. But right now, there's essentially the meta on my shard is Darth Maul lead Sith teams. But even one crazy Japanese whale that's on my shard, he has a 7-star everything Sith, like Sith Assassin and Sith Trooper, the whole lot. And it's way over, I think it's up to like 52,000 in power. And he can be taken down. He can be taken down by a Rex team. He can be taken down by a Jedi team. So it'll get you there easier. I think the best teams help you get up in rank quicker, but there's nothing that's great on defense, and there's all kinds of teams that you can use to beat teams. So that's what makes the difference between the current, what we used to have. You just had to have the same mirror team to be able to compete.
I think a lot of the problem is there's those teams that have access to Zetas are so above and beyond those that don't. The Qui-Gon Zeta is not viable. A Maul without a Zeta is not a good team to run an arena. It's not that good.
No, and this is, again, maybe just pointing out the weirdest my shard, although most of it is Maul, and most of them are Zetas and can get up there. That no one's really dominating with that. I mean, the only three of us who really can beat them all are the three of us who have a fully maxed Rex and other things to go around him. I finally dropped my first Zeta on Maul, and I can't really do that well with him. Realize that if I go back to my Rex, Chase, and throw in a Sith Assassin there, and probably Kenobi, that's the thing that's been helping me out the most recently than actually just dropping Zetas on things. So you can actually go without Zetas.
Well, and I think that's, right at this point in time, because I think we're kind of in a transition between, the Maul Zeta team as a build has been very effective and is kind of like, you get Maul Zeta, you get the rest of your Sith team kind of, in a decent gear set, and you can be very effective at top arena. The Rex counter to that, with Rex, lead, Chase, Nihilus, and then I use TIE Fighter Pilot, is a very effective counter to the Maul Zeta teams, and you don't need any of their, you don't need Nihilus Zeta with, my build effective at countering them. I think, again, we're kind of in that transition period, but we don't have a solid, team, whether it's Resistance, whether it's Jedi, whether it's, Phoenix teams, that is really a good counter to Maul. Awkward stage where right now the counter really is, a Rex lead. If you have Chase and, Nihilus, I don't care what star Nihilus you have, if you just have him in the team because you really want him for that one-shot kill. And then I use TIE Fighter Pilot to help with buff immunity and ability block. It's kind of like, to me, it's bridging the gap from, the next meta, whatever that meta is, and what the current one is when it comes to, the main Zal teams.
I think they're going to unleash some Zetas options that are going to open up even more teams. It's exciting. Right now we're in that lull where there's all these different complex teams. Dave comes at us, and we'll be pleasantly surprised, I think, of this shifting around.
Finn.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Finn. It could be a hair lead. It could be, even, some of the other, new characters. But, well, I don't know about droids.
Could be a Zeta.
But, there's just not another true build and a true class of team builds that can really take out Maul other than, a Rex lead. And, you need some protection. You need some, you need an initial taunt. You need, some cleansing abilities, and you need some damage. And, the build that I just mentioned is, to me, the best way to get across to counter that.
Speaking of characters that need to be worked on, what's up for our top 10 tonight?
We have a great top 10. Let's move on to that, so we can get on to the next segment here. I think
Mr. Transition in the house.
what an awesome segue. Oh, I think we have a top 10. Let's get that going. You have a top 10, and it's going to be the top 10 characters that need an upgrade or need a rework, right?
Yeah.
Looking at him. And we have McLeod. McLeod is going to be handling the top 10 tonight. Let's do it.
So we're going with the top 10 characters that need a makeover, because in the Star Wars universe, it is full of iconic characters, and for the most part, Star Wars Galaxy of Hero characters, their game mechanics and abilities will match their on-screen heroics. Like General Kenobi can lead a squadron of clones and Jedis to destroy their enemies. And Darth Maul, like we just discussed, is doing pretty good at leading his Sith squads in domination. But what about those memorable characters that just don't have what it takes? And these are the top 10 characters we're looking at that need a complete rework ASAP. And with that, the top 10, going in at number 10, we're going to start with, reasonably new, obviously came in with the wave of Rogue One characters, but K2 is a sarcastic and hilarious character in Rogue One, and when he was finally made available in the game, to some people, we were excited to get a taste of the new film. Too bad all he does is counter and taunt. Two things that are exceedingly easy to counter. He could be dynamic in a Rebel and Droid team alike, but instead he's just a pile of metal waiting to compactor. So number 10. And moving on to number 9, I think we've all been seeing this one coming for a while. Greedo is still sitting there, has the same problem as every character that relies on the thermal detonators for damage. They are too easy to counter and ignore. Give him some utility on his basic attack and make them thermal detonators scary, and Greedo may start to show up in the arena meta and raids. Right now, we just forget it. We just forget we found him, and don't think Swindler's Minute's going to appreciate it too much, but that's just the way it is. And at number 8, Grand Moff Tarkin. So GMT is a character that you absolutely have to farm for ship content to allow you to clear the ship challenges and potentially any new ship content. Unfortunately, for every other part of the game, he is a bust. His leadership is not nearly as good as Maul, Vader, or Emperor Palpatine. His AoE damage is laughable, and his basic damage is weak. There are so many better Empire options that GMT is only around to pilot his capital ship to shard dominance. Gear him, stick him in his ship, and forget him. So we'll forget him and move on to Newt Gunray. And he is a terrible character who does minimal damage with no utility and no role in any aspect of the game. Give him Separatist synergies, and we can run Geonosians, maybe? Give him droid synergies, and we can run droids. Give him something so that he can be a viable part of the game. And at number 6... So number 6 is pretty much any random Jedi now that hasn't already been talked about in the top 10s in the metas. So Mace Windu, Plo Koon, Eve Koth, Kit Fisto, Luminar, Kanan, Jedi Knight Guardian, Old Ben, the list goes on. All those Jedis that you don't really do anything with now. Why pick one Jedi when you could pick almost all of them? The Jedis were once a force for truth in the galaxy, but in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, they have been a force of futility, really. Old man Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi trailer honestly says that Jedi must end. In Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, they don't need to end, they just need a makeover. Hitting down
Force of futility.
You got it. Melee Beans hit it out the park again. And so home stretch 5, and Luke Skywalker, the one without the lightsaber. The only reason that Luke Skywalker is not higher on this list is in the hope that someday Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes will release a Jedi version that will be truly outstanding. He could be an excellent pilot, so he could be a rebel leader with great synergies and attacks. Instead, he's a useless character that's best used bullseyeing womp rats and picking up power converters at Toshi Station. Blue Milk Luke, you're down to 5. And at 4, Clone Wars Chewbacca. Chewbacca is one of the most recognizable characters in all of Star Wars who could have been devastating force in Galaxy of Heroes. He could have Yoda synergies from the Battle of Kashyyyk, Rebel synergies, anti-Empire abilities that destroy the incoming Empire meta, and powerful ship to pilot. But no, instead, Chewie is just a furry wall that you use for the first 2 or 3 weeks of your game, early game experience, and then top 3, here we go. At number 3, Solo, OG Han from the Raid, or Useless Han. This dynamic character from the Star Wars universe who is so fun and exciting that he is getting his own movie is just plain awful in the current game. He can be used in Phase 4 of the heroic AAT raid, but there are better options, and he can be used in Galactic War if you're bored and want a different look. But after killing the Rancor so many times, this character should just suck just a little bit less. And number 2, General Grievous. This very long farm had a very, very brief time on a dominant droid arena team that has long since been tossed aside. His kit does counter any of the challenges of the arena meta. The droids, in general, are better off with other options in the heroic AAT raid, and he is left to scurry away and wait for a rework. You're better off buying shards of a character you already have from the shard shop to earn more shard currency than waste your time on this character, at least until maybe he gets a decent rework. And who have we got? His favorite bounty hunter, Cad Bane. Cad Bane is one of the greatest bounty hunters in the Star Wars universe, whose exploits include breaking into the Jedi Temple to steal the holocron. His Star Wars Galaxy hero character is absolutely one of the worst, and an evasion lead that only benefits scoundrels Low speed and health, no synergy with any meta squad, and a middling damage means that this character is absolutely useless. They didn't even give him a ship, which in Clone Wars is a pretty awesome ship, as is the character. But if any character should be fun, fast, and powerful, it should be him. And unfortunately, he's just not. So he tops our list this week, and that is the ALLIANCEGaming.com week. So, in closing, final thoughts. Well, not every character needs to be a dominant arena and raid character, but every character should have a role in the game and be fun to play. And hopefully these characters will get some special attention and live up to their on-screen roles in the future.
I mean, Grievous it would take me years to 7-star. Well, him of all people needs to be just a dominant character. As Han Solo, he just takes forever. Can't imagine them being as awful as they truly are. They're
Grievous is actually, he's actually more attainable now that he's available in the fleet shipments. And on top of that, I mean, I think that just the droids in general need a little bit of a rework or some love, because they were such an awesome team to have. I mean, they're one of the best characters to farm early game. I mean, one of the best teams to farm early game. But they just don't have a lot of ability, not only in arena, but with really any other area of the game anymore. So, I mean, there's no droid mod challenge. There's no droid ships, with the exception of K2SO and and there's no droid. I mean, besides the droids fight back event, I mean, that's really pretty much it. So, and right now you can't use them in arena. So I would say, I mean, I think that, Grievous and the droids are, probably one of the factions that need some of the most love in the game. I mean, obviously we can look at Greedo, we can look at some of these other characters that have never had any love. There's some of these Jedis like Plo Koon and, some of these Jedis that really need some attention. But I think that the droids are a team that, because of the fact that they're only really usable or viable in arena because they don't really help you out anywhere else in the game, they should definitely get some love to make them, at least usable in arena, the one place that they do give you some sort of benefit. You know what I mean? So just my opinion, but I didn't really agree with Cad Bane there. Even though Cad Bane is pretty bad, I think that Cad Bane is characters on the list that I would want to see get a rework or something like that. There's been a lot of people thinking that General Veers is going to be getting some love. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? There's a like kind of an ominous message at the end of last week's update. I mean, are you guys working on Veers right now to try to catch up with a rework if that happens?
No, no. I'm just gonna miss that.
I've seen some. Listen, I'm seeing people 7-star in their Veers every day. I mean, so it's happening. People are working on them. Just going on the hunch. But I mean, I don't know. Even if he did get a rework, I don't see it being so awesome that he's gonna change anything that's going on right now. But then again, I could be wrong. I mean, maybe he changes the Empire meta and makes them, the best team in the house. Maybe they take over the meta. Who knows? Maybe General Veers is the #1 character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes in a couple of months. I mean, I would, if you asked me a year ago if Darth Maul and if Darth Maul was going to be the most used leader in the game, I would have said no. You know what I'm saying? But anything could happen. Very much McLeod for the top 10 today, let's take a move over into the Q&A segment, which is going to be headed up by none other than Golden Chinchilla himself, good old Maurice.
What's up, guys? Good old Maurice here, aka me Reese. I got a bunch of questions.
AKA me Reese.
How many you guys want to field?
AKA good old Mo, AKA the Golden Chinchilla.
I don't really know how to
Sandy, aka the list goes on.
Oh yeah. My band of alts. All right, we got a bunch, so we'll start at the top. My first question comes from Little Payne. I'm level 70, and I'm in no rush to get Yoda 7-star. What 5 Jedi should I choose for long-term utility in addition to beating the event?
Talon, you want to handle this question?
Not really. I just want to throw Jedi Anakin out there. I mean, he's one of the most useful Jedi there.
I would agree.
So of your 5, you got Qui-Gon Jinn.
We'll throw Qui-Gon Jinn, definitely.
Anakin, Ayla, Barriss. And then your 5th one is kind of up in the air. I might say Jedi Knight Counselor or Ahsoka because they're ships, depending on which way you want to go.
Because
she got synergy with Anakin.
Yeah, Ahsoka is a great person to have. Just again, synergies with Anakin. Plus, she's got a great ship. That's great in ship.
You got to get her completely geared up, though. She doesn't seem too great until you get her around gear 10, 11 with those extra. Yeah,
that's why I said maybe Jedi Counselor because he has a ship and he's a healer.
Yeah, and he's he's everybody has him, so gear him up.
Yeah.
Plus, Ahsoka is, if you don't have everybody in the game already, Ahsoka is one of the characters that, I mean, she's the only farmable Jedi. Qui-Gon Jinn there and Jedi Knight Guardian. But I mean,
Jedi Knight Trash. You mean?
You're not going to go for Jedi Knight Guardian there before you go for Ahsoka. So I mean, obviously, you're going to have to go for Qui-Gon Jinn. You're going to have to go for, some of these characters from different locations. But Ahsoka is probably one of the better characters out there because when paired with Anakin too, she gets bonuses. I think crit immunity, and she gets bonuses to start the encounter. So that's pretty cool.
You can pretty much side hustle all the Jedi.
You guys were quick to say Anakin,
Barriss, and then you got Qui-Gon Jinn, Ahsoka, and who am I forgetting?
It's just funny. 6 months ago, Qui-Gon would have been the first answer from everybody easily.
Yeah,
he's just kind of an afterthought now. Yeah,
General Kenobi, of course, but I mean Kenobi's not not very easy to get. So I mean, if you don't already have a Kenobi,
did say a long farm.
So all right, let's move on to the next question.
He did say looking for endgame. So
let's see.
Yeah.
Next is from Missing Shannon Hoon. I've watched many videos on whom to farm at a GW, but they are all outdated. What order should I farm these characters now?
Which
Galactic War.
The Galactic War shipments, I guess he's talking about.
We just had some additions to Galactic War too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to reevaluate this.
I would say Galactic War definitely needs a reevaluation now that there's new characters there. Bodhi Rook definitely changed.
Yeah, if we go back to what we were saying earlier, Biggs Darklighter.
Yeah.
I'd say Biggs is still the first.
You get them everywhere, so may as well.
It's funny that Biggs is now. It's funny that Biggs would be now the first. I remember, I avoided Biggs like the plague when I first got the characters in the Galactic War. First character I went out for at Galactic War was Luminara and Dooley, and then I went for
Phasma.
I think I went for Phasma and then IG-86.
I used to tell people to go for Tebow because you'd needed him for the raid, but now, if you can get your Vader up and hit the Zeta on him, you're laughing.
Yeah, I think I'd say currently you're looking at Biggs, then Phasma. And if you really want to grab more people, I would go 86 and then Bodhi Rook.
I mean, I would agree with that. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I still think you kind of need Luminara if you want to go for Yoda. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I guess you can kind of hold off on that for right now if you're not going Jedi. So. I would say.
But if you're early game, you will need Luminar as a healer just to get you through it.
Right. So, I mean, I would say, I'd still say, you're probably going to need Luminara as one of the first 3 characters that you're going to go for at a Galactic Wars. I mean, you're not going to get through Galactic Wars at the beginning if you don't have a healer. So.
Well, and I would say I would challenge that, everybody gets Jedi Counselor initially as one of the top characters. When it comes to Luminar or in my case, like Barriss, I would say, for long-term effects, having Barris and using, getting her up to speed, it would be a lot more than Luminara if you have, JC in the back burner. Because again, effectiveness after, in the end of the day, you're going to use Jedi Counselor for his ship. You're going to use Barris for many different things. Luminara is one of those characters that, if you do it, invest in her in, the end game state, you're not going to be using Luminara until she gets a rework. So that might be an investment that you don't see a lot in afterwards.
Well, I would also suggest, you would get Biggs first, right? And then maybe a couple other characters. Don't forget about Dacia. You need them for the crit damage mods, unfortunately. But then you should really start considering plucking some of these dark side ships out of Galactic War to get them up to 5-star, so you get those Zetas.
Right.
First order TIE fighter.
I really only named 4 or 5 people for that very reason. After that, there's not anyone worth you giving up this for.
It's funny. I'm actually looking through this, and all these characters I'm looking at that I'm not even considering anymore. Once upon a time,
let's look at the timeline here. Okay, we got to really realistically, in order to do this, you got to look at the timeline here. How long does it take you to go from 0 to 85 if you play this game every day?
Let's see. Bodhi Rook came in
6
and
months.
was pretty low, so I just finished off getting the right amount of shards for him, and so that took whenever Bodhi Rook went in up until now. So that's what 2-3 weeks.
Okay, and
It takes about 6 months to get from.
Takes about 6 months to get from 0 to 85, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not going to be anywhere near able to even use ships for at least a month or so, right? So I mean, like you got to be like early game. I think you're still looking at either Biggs or Luminara first, and then you're going whatever one you go for, you're going to get the other one right after. Then maybe Phasma, then IG-86, then maybe Bodhi Rook, and then
I would probably start pulling ships before Bodhi.
And you know what? Resistance pilot's in there too. You're gonna need that chick for the speed mods, right?
But at that point, I mean, you're switching to ships before you get the speed mods.
But true. I mean, after 3 characters in here, then you could start, spreading out your Galactic War tokens a little bit. Maybe pick up some of the ships and slow farm Resistance pilot.
Yeah.
I just finished Resistance Pilot, and I've been 85 for a while, so that's going to be, at the back end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have Resistance Pilot 7-star either at this point in time. So, and for given the fact that I have most everybody 7-starred on both ships and characters, it's definitely not required, but might be a step for the free to play folks to get to the next place in Ship Arena.
All right, so let's move on to the next question because I'm already thinking about going into Cantina shipments and ranking the top 10.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Next one, actually, we're talking about Resistance Pilot Ghost. One of your members of Alpha asks, "How good is a Zeta Finn? What are your thoughts on a Resistance team?" So that'd be my
Maurice
next
is
Zeta.
all over that.
That's got to be Maurice's question, right?
Your question, Maurice. So
Well, I mean, it's going to be obviously kind of biased. That's my new man, Zeta Finn. But as a team, as a whole unit, I don't think they're very viable for Arena. Poe and Finn got some cool synergies going between them, but the rest of them are just too slow. It's too slow out of the gate for Arena. And it's better. It's a better option than the droids for P2 and the raid. But I would say that Vader comp with the Shaman and Elder, and also the First Order are slightly better for P2. It's a big group of them all together. They're for the best P2 team. That's all I got.
Well, and I only have one that's actually using a Finn lead for top 10 Arena, and he's actually holding a place between 10 and 5 with Finn. But he has commented to me that while he can take the top spots, he's having a hard time on defense. So I would caution anybody that takes that team to the top levels, that they're probably going to be able to maybe be effective and even competing with all teams, but they're going to have a hard time on defense. That's going to drop them back quite a bit the next day.
Yeah, you really need to be in the driver's seat of that team. That's something that I can beat any team on the chart. It just overnight it kind of plummets into the teens. Sometimes, especially on like Arena reset day, into the 20s. All right, you guys ready for the next one? All right.
Yep.
And this one comes from Raiders Sons. What is a good strategy for Sith teams to beat Rex lead teams that include Shabazz?
Are we really asking that question? The Azal lead team that needs to beat Rex?
Hey man, they're firing off the questions. I'm just asking the experts here.
I mean, you just get faster.
Well, I'm just saying that, again, with Maul Zeta teams, they have everything in their toolkit to get the top on offense. Everybody else is trying desperately to be able to beat that meta from an offense standpoint, and that's why you have Rex leads. If you're having a hard time with a Zal lead team beating a Rex lead team, then I would probably just question what the rest of your build is, because you have everything in your toolkit to be effective there.
Let's be honest. The only answer to that question is get faster. That is the answer to the question.
Darth Nihilus would be one of the most important pieces there with his basic dispelling. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, you need to get rid of those buffs on those guys sometimes.
Yeah, that's how you beat that team. You ability block, or you use Nihilus to increase their cooldown so they can't cleanse, and you kill them because you're going more often.
I mean, if you want to get more specific,
having Palpatine in there too, with his AoE stun, you suck all their cooldowns away and you stun them.
So basically, what he's asking is for characters. So, I mean, the build you're looking for, you want people like Sidious if you have access. You want maybe a Zeta. Kylo is always helpful. Obviously, we mentioned Darth Nihilus. And then if you have access, and then Emperor Palpatine, you could even put Boba Fett in there, because taking away with the ability block, all of those, you throw any of those in any combination. Even the old not Palpatine. Before he was Palpatine, he was Darth Sidious. So yeah, Darth Sidious. Yeah, Darth Sidious in there as well. If you can get him up there with putting all those debuffs on there. So any combination of those characters will do you well. Even if you throw in a General Kenobi in there, it's going to be very annoying.
And that's just it. Is with Maul Zeta, I mean, you can throw in General Kenobi, you can throw in a Chase team, you can throw in a Savage, you can throw in other characters that Nihilus, I think, is one of the best characters in the game, period, bar none, and he's got a place in every build. So there's a lot of ways to beat the Rex lineups with a Maul team.
And then ultimately, yes, mods and speed, secondaries. That's what's going to do it. It's going to make the difference.
Okay, so next question.
All right. Let's see, next one's trying to find one that fits. We'll just go down the line here. Panda from the Alliance asks, which 5 characters do you want to be viable for Arena?
Panda from asks, which 5 characters would I like to be viable in Arena? I mean, I'd love to see. My opinion would be, I'd love to see General Grievous viable in Arena. I'd love to see. Kylo would have been on that list before, but now he is. So, I mean, a lot of the characters that I didn't want to be viable in Arena, like Darth Maul, actually done. So, I'd like to see
I would just say a Jedi team in general. I mean, even with Kenobi or Qui-Gon Zeta, with Yoda Zeta, I mean, you have to throw so many Zetas at Jedis to make them viable. I'd like to see them actually have a better place in top Arena without having so many Zetas to even compete.
I'd like to see Han Solo viable in Arena, like Raid Han. I'd like to see. I'd like to see Leia viable in Arena again, and
Leia would be cool. Yes.
I'd like to see. Probably, I mean, my next pick would be maybe Asajj Ventress be viable in Arena.
Whoa, fella.
Oh, here we go. Grace, take it away.
No, she sucks right now versus him. She's awful.
Yeah, I like to see Asajj Ventress, and maybe even some of the Ewoks. I'd like to see the Ewoks viable. I mean, Chirpa. That'd be cool.
General synergies, so you can actually have factions of things be good as it is to see the clones get a bit quicker so that they're a little more viable. It would be nice to be able to use a squad of reworks. They had a brief moment where they were kind of viable, but not really great on defense. But, there are all these rebel characters. It'd be cool if they did something, just any of the factions, so you can group together and play them together as they're meant to be.
I was gonna say Cody, but I didn't want Lotion to bite me over the mic, so I just figured.
No, I mean that's true. I mean, the clones in top 10 arena are just not there anymore. But if you were to take say even bounty hunters, they did a huge rework on Boba, but yet a Boba lead is just not very effective in the top 10. To me, that's one of the ones I would wish they would focus on to where they could actually be viable.
Whoever's got that static on the mic, definitely check that. But okay, let's move on to the next question.
All right, next question comes from Mugito. He's from the Alliance as well. What's a great team to run under a Nihilist lead for Arena? Is there even a viable team for a top 10?
So I am second in Arena almost every day, and I run a Nihilist lead. So
I guess, yeah.
So what's the comp?
Run Nihilist lead with Darth Maul, Emperor Palpatine.
Really?
The teas and stun are unreal, and they are always. I run Xylo because why not? Xylo's good on every team. But for the ability block.
Yeah,
okay.
Strong lineup.
I see
pretty strong.
There's a Nihilist led team in the top 10 on my chart. Nihilist lead, Sith Assassin, Dooku, Sith Trooper, and he's using General Kenobi in that.
See, my thing about the whole Nihilist lead with Dooku is I think his leader ability or his Zeta actually becomes nullified because there's no protection, right? So he doesn't get anything back.
Well, his protection and his health are combined into one pool, and it becomes just his health pool.
So every time he counterattacks, he is getting health back?
He counterattacks, he's getting health back.
Yeah, that's leader ability.
But if you have any team that has healing immunity as a debuff, then that is going to cripple that team.
Asking a developer about this, and they said no. So unless that's working not as intended. So I don't.
Well, he does get a bonus. He does get bonus damage from that Zeta, so he's getting a little bit more health back than he normally would. But nothing definitely not worth investing in a Zeta to get, I don't know, 15% health boost.
Yeah.
That's not very good.
But so on a lead Nihilist with lead is 150% health steal plus whatever their base health steal is. So I think, Nihilist is either 10 or 15%. So with his 150% health steal adding, he's at 175% health steal. So, they can survive to a point, but again, it's all mitigated by, a health immunity debuff because then they don't get anything from health steal.
Yeah.
Oh, Expose wrecks that team too. Expose and health immunity, you'll slaughter a Nihilist lead.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very easy to counter. While they can be effective in many situations, they can be completely destroyed by anybody that has, health immunity as a debuff.
I think you could do well with a Nihilist-led team through Galactic War, or maybe even in, I think you get in certain circumstances in Arena, you can do well with the team. I just don't see them being. I mean, if you're talking about a high-level meta, Zeta Maul team out there. You're facing, a team with good mods. You're not gonna beat them with a Nihilist lead.
What if you threw?
You can. But you're gonna drop. You're gonna drop significantly if you have it. You can maybe take top.
That team?
Yeah,
and,
of course.
And he'll be taking away those healing immunities, and then every time he does this big huge stomp thing, I mean, I think he's gonna get full health back from that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's like I said, it's an interesting team. I actually modded Nihilus when I got him for offense because I knew that you couldn't crit with his leader. So I was totally farming offense mods for my Sith so that I could run Nihilus lead when he came out. But
and I still am.
Still don't think that that's anywhere near viable right now. Maybe one day that'll change. Maybe they'll add something to his leader. But right now, I just don't see it. So,
So I'll tell you the reason
the
that my
problem
team
the problem
tends to
that they
be
don't
better
survive long
under an
term
Island
is because
Sleeve.
they have no debuff. They have no way to cleanse, so debuffs cripple them completely.
I like my team under an Island Sleeve because I run into a lot of tanks and they shred tanks. So you see
Okay.
people running a lot of bays, and that team is pretty useless against the team I just told you about. You run
against
Maul and
against like a rebel team where you're not dealing with speed, then yeah, I mean it's fine. But what I'm saying is like when you're facing a Zeta Maul team where every single person on that team is going to go before your guy. You know, you're this. I mean, there's nothing. You're going to get stunned. You're going to get dazed. You're going to get destroyed before you even move.
And that's just it. Is they have no cleansers. So without a true cleanser, the whole team with Dark Nihilist lead is going to be very ineffective. Now you have to augment it. You have to make a hybrid team to make it work.
Yeah, I mean the most useful use that they're specifically used for is to get through a Jedi team that has Barriss Zeta with Kenobi and all that, and they'll shred that for you. Like I said, they're good against tanks, so that they're the target team they're the counter to that team.
Well,
if you come
I mean any anti-crit meta team with Barriss, with Kenobi throwing or even like Short Trooper throwing up crit immunity, they're going to shine on because they don't do that, but they still have to do a significant amount of damage, and you have to mod completely under your Sith with offense mods as opposed to crit chance, crit damage, and retool them under a Nihilist lead in order for them to be very effective.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Good old Mo, kick it.
All right. Now we're going to completely switch gears here. Daniels Jax, our boy Daniels Jax, he asks, when do you expect the next level cap increase? The last one to 85 was in October 2016. Giving credits now.
No, I don't think we should start saving credits now. I mean, I don't think we need to really start saving credits. I think whenever the level cap increase comes, we're going to have enough credit heists. Remember, the last level cap increase was insane, right? It took us a very long time to get from 80. So it wasn't like 70 to 80. I mean, 70 to 80 was a breeze in comparison to 80 to 85. So whenever the next level cap increase does come, I think it's going to take us double that. So I think it's going to be like a really long, slow grind to 90 or whatever we do, because it's going to be double the points that it was to get to 85. So it's going to take us to get to level 86 from 85. It's going to take you forever. I think we're going to get enough credits at that point over that time period to save from the credit heists and stuff. So just start saving now. I do think that a level cap increase is definitely due. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm assuming, and this is just my opinion, whenever we get that new content, whether it's a new event or whatever, I think that'll coincide with a level cap increase. So, I mean, whether that's a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, even if it doesn't come out necessarily right at the same moment that update comes, I think with that we'll get a level cap increase, because they're going to want to increase the difficulty of the challenge, right? So whatever it is, they're going to make it harder than the AAT raid or anything like that. So they're going to have to, they're going to have to make it, scaled for level or for the level 90 level cap increase, or for level 90 characters. So I think that that's where they're heading with that. Just my opinion. Again, it's all speculation.
Yeah, with a level cap increase could come some of these 6-dot mods, some new content, all sorts of stuff. It really shake the game up. So
yeah, I would agree that probably when they introduce the next level cap will be the next 6-star mod introduction.
I think those of us who've been playing a while, they teased that on accident during those Rancor raids where they're giving out 6-dot mods.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I think they're gonna have a lot of stuff happening around when The Last Jedi comes out, towards December. So I think we're going to be getting new characters. I think we're going to be getting events. I think there's going to be a lot of content being pumped out around that time, especially because, whenever a new Star Wars movie comes out, they got to ramp up their content because they're going to want to add a whole bunch of new players to the game. Bear in mind, every time a new Star Wars movie comes out, it's like a relaunch of the game for these guys. So they're going to, because they're getting a whole bunch of new people looking for Star Wars games on their phone. They're going to advertising, so you're gonna start to see more ads for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes on YouTube and on different site websites. They're gonna just spend more on marketing. So I think that around that time, I think there's going to be so much stuff going on that they're probably going to introduce the level cap increase before we get to December. So I think we're looking at somewhere in the middle of now in December, like maybe 3 months from now, 2-3 months from now, I think is where we're looking at.
All right. So, you guys ready for the next one?
Sure.
I mean, I got tons of them. Just tell me how many you guys want to field here. The next one comes from, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Wraithnich. Howdy, folks. Any advice, opinions on using accuracy arrows outside of B2 to combat the Maul lead?
Accuracy arrows. Well, we were discussing that a little bit last week. Has anybody tested out accuracy arrows? I've never increased the stats of an accuracy arrow ever.
The problem is that we can't determine whether the accuracy mod arrow is actually determining whether or not you hit one of the stealth members of a Maul lead. So it's kind of hard to determine whether or not it's even effective, and that's the hard.
And what we determined in general about accuracy mods is there's no solid data as to what it affects, what it counters, and what it actually does. It doesn't seem to have any real effect. The only real effect that's been noticed has been with stunning Alias Sakura. She's a little more during Galactic War, and that's about it. It's the only kind of vague data that we have about what accuracy mods actually do.
The biggest problem with accuracy arrows is you have to choose between an accuracy arrow and a speed arrow. Every single character, that seems like an easy choice to me.
Yeah, it's only really good for like B2, like a tank that doesn't need to go a lot.
There's a handful of people that don't need speed arrows, but the bottom line is if you'd have to fight the same team 10 times without a speed arrow or without an accuracy arrow, then switch it to an accuracy arrow and actually see if you can actually see any difference. Because at this point in time, we have no data to show how it even, what if does it bend the needle in the right direction related to landing on a Maul lead.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question.
Next question. This one comes from Natsu. What teams out there can utilize Death Trooper and Arena?
Oh, I'm ready for this one. Okay, so I'm actually currently working on this, so this is something I can talk about. I've got the cooldown increase team, and I think the perfect mix up for that will be. I don't have Sith Trooper done yet, so I can't tell you from experience, but I think it's going to be Maul lead with Nihilus, Sith Trooper, Death Trooper, and Krennic. I think that those five will be an awesome team. Okay, and I just got my Krennic to 6 stars. I just got my Death Trooper to 6 stars. So I'm working on that. I should have that team up and ready. And whenever I do, maybe even at 6 stars, I may try making a video about it. But I also think that Death Trooper works in a couple other different team counts. I think you can use Death Trooper in a Rex lead. I think you could use Rex, Death Trooper, Nihilus, maybe again Krennic and either Short Trooper, or you can use Death Trooper without Krennic in a Sith team with Darth Maul. So let's say you don't have Krennic and you just want to use Death Trooper. Remember, Death Trooper gives or stuns any character that's dazed, and Darth Maul does AoE daze. So if you daze all the characters with Darth Maul, you can just stun each character with a basic attack with Death Trooper. Now, the reason you want Krennic on the board there is because if you Zeta Death Trooper, he gets a 50% chance to get 100% turn meter every time Krennic gets damaged. So Death Trooper is going to get to go frequently. And with the cooldown increase with Nihilus and Death Trooper, with Death Trooper getting all that TM, he's going to get to go and use his AoE attack a bunch of times, increasing the other team's cooldowns. And Nihilus is going to also be increasing the other team's cooldowns. You're going to be able to keep them just using basic attacks for the majority of the encounter. So, when you do that, it's gonna make it almost impossible for them to take you out because they're never going to get an opportunity to do any of their hard hitting attacks. So, it's a good team. I definitely think it's worth testing out. I'm working on it now to get to see if it holds in arena. But I definitely think, without a doubt, I've already tried it on offense. I know it wins. I'm not sure if it how well it would hold, let's say, throughout the course of a day. You may get knocked back into the teens, but maybe with Sith Trooper, that team could actually be a good defensive team as well. Kind of need that speed that you get from the Darth Maul lead to give to Nihilus, because if you're using Rex, you can get the speed from, let's say, them using an AoE attack on the Rex lead or something like that. But I think you're going to benefit most from getting Nihilus to go first with the Darth Maul lead, having Sith Trooper in there to protect the rest of the team, and then just having Death Trooper and Nihilus just pepper them with AoE attacks and keep their special attacks on high cooldowns. That's just my opinion of a great way to use Death Trooper right now. Because you can't use them in an Empire squad right now, unless you're talking about, the team that we were discussing earlier, which is the Gar Saxon team, right, where you have Gar Saxon lead, and then you throw Krennic and Death Trooper in there with maybe fives, and what were we saying, Baze or Sunfac or somebody else that gets fives. Fives.
Anybody that does a counterattack, really.
Yeah, so I'm thinking you can throw Death Trooper and Krennic in that Empire team. With Gar Saxon lead, and that could be good too. That's something we've been, theory crafting also. But we're going to get Gar Saxon later on tonight, and we can, so I'm sure we'll have some people trying that out, so we'll get a chance to see what that looks like. Any other opinions, guys? What do you guys think?
I think you pretty much covered that. I guess you're excited for Death Trooper, huh?
I'm wearing Death Trooper boxer shorts right now.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on the Death Trooper?
No, I think they covered it.
Okay. Next question comes from Mr. Dutch. What keeps you guys playing the game when the content becomes uneventful? I guess just when there's a lull, in like content, like a new raid or something like that. What keeps you guys playing?
Well, my favorite part of the game. Go ahead.
The Alliance is awesome. That's what keeps me playing.
The Alliance community is what keeps me playing. It's the Alliance. No, but seriously though, the community is really a big part of it. The fact that we have a great group of people that are on Discord every day chatting, we're talking strat for arena, we're chatting about characters that are coming out and where they're farming. Really the player to player relationships that you have in the game and in your guild and in the community is really what keeps you going when there's a lull in content. So if you're not in a great community, it's going to be even more difficult to stay focused and want to keep playing because it's just you and a bunch of guys that you don't really interact with. It's going to be harder for those people to stay enticed in the game. For me, it's not hard because I have people that I can talk to about the game every single day. It's still fresh. We have new things coming out, and really my favorite part of the game is arena anyway. So, as far as raids and things like that, I'm always excited when new content comes out. I'm always excited to try to conquer it and see, what we can do to get it done. But my favorite part of the game is always going to be player versus player. So, that's what keeps me, playing, and that, trying to figure out great teams for arena is really what keeps me excited about the game most.
I think a lot of people keep playing because they're so invested. A lot of us have been playing for over a year. I haven't, but a lot of you guys have. And, maybe money invested and time invested keeps a lot of people ready for more.
That's also another reason. Yeah. If you've invested a lot of money, it's definitely something you don't want to give up on. But I think, again, we've been in a big lull here in content. So something's definitely coming on the horizon here. And I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, as far as the characters are concerned, we always complained about having more characters released. Well, they gave that to us. They gave us a ton of characters, but nothing else. So now it's about time for us to get some new game modes, some new game content. And like I was saying yesterday, we were actually having a chat last night, and I said to everybody that I think that with some simple additions to the game, they can make this a game that just endlessly has fun. I mean, if they gave you the ability, just a simple ability to the opponent that you want, like if you could just type in an ally code and fight your friend, or if you could type in an ally code and fight a guild mate or a another guild member from somewhere else, because you want to challenge them, that would be great. I mean, we could create our own tournaments in Discord and just have matches against each other. We could even throw a pot in of like $1 each for everybody, and just have us fight to see who wins the pot at the end. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but we could create our own game modes with that if they gave us the opportunity to challenge each other. So I mean, we could really do whatever we want if they made just some small additions like that. I was saying I really would love to see a gauntlet mode in the game, where you just fight endlessly until you use every character in your roster. Now, I know that's kind of like what Galactic War already is, but we all know that 12 nodes of Galactic War, you're not going through your whole roster if you have a deep roster. So maybe a gauntlet mode that runs once a week. You just keep going in level, until your entire team is done. So you'll have to strategize on different teams when you're facing different comps, and it'll be like a test to see how far you can get through it. I mean, it would be great to see somebody post on the forums that they got to level 100 or level 125, and it would be almost like a badge of honor that you were able to get to these higher levels, and maybe even something that you could track or show on like your arena scorecard, right? Like, so like if you have let's say you're looking at an ally, you can look at the screen and see how far he's gotten in Gauntlet, or something like that. I think those two game modes alone, if they added something like that, or guild versus guild, would just add so much more longevity to the game. Because the last thing that we've gotten as far as updates for the game that we where we're using characters, not ships, is the AAT raid, and that was it feels like almost a year ago now. You know what I mean? So, I have a different opinion.
Well, I would just say that even if you have most of the characters haven't started the year very well, the challenges of this game of finding a combination that can counter a meta is always going to be an effective and attractive part of why we still play the game.
All right, let's field. Let me see. We're at okay. Let's field one more question here, and then we're going to call it.
All right. All right. The pressure's on.
Something good, Maurice.
So make it a good question.
Oh boy. Well, the last one's going to come from Bearded Goat 49.
Okay.
Could you guys discuss which ones are better, protection mods or health mods? What are the benefits of each? And then health primaries on the circle mods,
Okay, so I mean, in my opinion, it's going to depend on the character, right? Like if you're looking at a character who's really heavy in health, you're going to want to go with health percentage. If you're going for a character that's really heavy in protection, you're going to want to go with protection percentage. But I mean, it really also depends on the character's abilities. Like, for example, if you're talking about Kylo Ren, you're going to want to go with protection because he gets to regen his protection. So the more protection you have on that character, the better it is for him, because he's just going to gain more protection benefits with that protection regen. So, for example, if you're using like a Nihilist lead, like we were discussing earlier, you probably want to go with health percentage because that's going to be better for a character like that. I mean, any other opinions, guys?
I think if you consider all things equal, if you're barring abilities and barring a large discrepancy in the two stats, I think health mods as a whole are better simply because you can recover health, you can't recover protection.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that, again, a lot of characters have health steal. Health steal is based on the percentage of damage they do. But there's also characters like Barris that is actually healing based on her max health and not her max protection. So you're gonna have those kind of challenges. There's only a handful of people that I think actually are viable for health primary mods as opposed to protection mods, because even with a Nihilist League, you're using the whatever protection your mods give you is going to the total health pool under like a
Yeah, it gets converted to health.
It gets converted to
basically
health.
the same thing. It's just a different mechanic.
But your protection mods go much higher than what your health mods go.
Yeah, it's a pure stats thing. The maximum you can get out of a health mod is 5.88%, and the maximum you can get out of a protection mod is 23.5. So just sheer numbers and general consensus from a year's worth of play since mods came out, it's almost always better to have protection mods.
Well, I think over if you're in a raid environment where the battle is really long and lengthy, you might benefit more from health. Like Leia in that Princess Zodi setup, that McMull does. I think she would probably benefit from health more. Like Poe in a resistance team in the raid would benefit from health more. But I think we were talking about arena. It's a pretty safe bet to always choose protection.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty situational for when health mods are useful.
Modding for certain teams.
Yeah.
Galactic War runs, you to run the same team all the way through.
Yeah.
Yes, health is definitely,
maybe a health mod would be better, but
for fun to see those weird little things, tricks that you can do in other modes and stuff, and find out when it's actually going to work for mechanic. But overall, especially in arena, it's almost always going to be protection over health.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
Yeah, for those of you guys that had more questions that we didn't get to tonight, just be sure to hop in the Discord. We can answer them there in the after party. So
what I'd like to do is I'd like to save some of those questions maybe for next week's live show, and we're gonna actually have. Unless you'd like the question answered now, it's like an important question that you need answered right away. Then definitely come into the Discord. For the after party, we can discuss anything you like there. Next week we're gonna have a chance to take a look at what happened with the event and see what that brings us in. If he's a viable character in arena, so we'll have some people trying him out, and we'll get some feedback on that. We're also hoping to get, like I said, an interview with EA Jesse on the live show here, either next week or the week after. So stay tuned for that. I'll definitely give you some more information as we get closer to that live show. But for all of you on the show and staying with us this late, we definitely appreciate you checking out the 4th Alliance live show here today. I want to thank everybody on the panel here again. McLeod, thank you for contributing what you contribute with the slides and doing the top 10 today. Champy, great job with the meta report today. And, of course, Maurice, with getting all the questions together and, getting that all organized, thank you very much. And, of course, Lotion for, getting us all set up with the live stream and, really, the entire show together. Thank you very much. And everybody else who contributed, and is here on the panel, definitely appreciate all your help and everybody, everybody's opinions on the show. If you guys, want to check out, still have a chat with us, we're going to be having a live show after party over in the Alliance Discord. So go over to www.thealliancegaming.com if you're not already in that Discord to take the link into our Discord. If you're looking for a guild, we have over 50 guilds. We're doing, are we over 30 AAT Heroic now?
I would have to pull up the sheet. That's very, very close. Yes.
Yeah. So we've got.
We're close to having a couple more there too. I know a couple are about a month off, or if not less than that. So
yeah, plus or minus 2.
We've got guilds for all player levels, from the casual player to the advanced player, and the new player to the experienced player. So. We're definitely looking for anybody that wants to join, any of our guilds. And also on top of that, we've got tons of guides and great info on the site too. Daniel's Jack, Chili Dog, and the whole, content team, the website team are constantly updating that site with new blogs, new links to videos from people in the community. Also, new, content and updates whenever they come out. So definitely check that out. And, come over, like I said, into the Discord to have the after party with us. We're going to be discussing, the things that we discussed here on the show today. And also, I'm sure we'll be talking about some Gar Saxon, since that's the event that's coming up tonight after midnight. So again, appreciate you guys coming to check us out. I'll be on the Smithy D live stream tomorrow. I'll probably be joining them a little bit later than the start, so I'll probably be there maybe about half hour after the show starts. But definitely check us out there at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And again, we're gonna try to get together, a great show for you next week. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we'll see you over in the Discord. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Anybody else want to add anything?
Oh, guys, I just wanted to shout out to everyone that shows up to our live shows and watch them after the fact. Thank you all for showing up. We wouldn't do this without you guys, so appreciate y'all turning in, and I appreciate y'all guys working with me and Riemann and throwing a great show together. It's great to have you all.
May the force be with you.
Happy 420.
Happy. All right,
One love, brother.
We'll see you guys over in Discord. But thanks for checking us out, and may the force be with you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.